Welcome back, gamers. It took a while, but we're finally releasing the rest of the series surrounding the Tier 11 Rogue boss guides. But before we do that, I firstly want to address the elephant in the room. This is obviously the Valiona Theralion guide, and for a lot of you guys have heard rumors of the Shadow Realm Rogue spec, or otherwise known as the Sub Spec for V&T. A lot of guilds, specifically casual progression guilds, are asking rogues to run this spec to make the fight easier, especially on 10 man. There are arguments for and against this spec, and I want to make sure that you guys, as my viewers, have all the ammo that you need to avoid using this spec, which is seemingly useless outside of this one single fight. So the first argument is, blood DKs are just way better in the Shadow Realm and have way more impactful healing in the form of Death Strike, as well as the absorption that it gives them, and have significant more healing that can be spammed. They are way more reliable and easier to play in the Shadow Realm as well, with the effect of AMS. Argument 2. Affliction Warlocks are extremely capable of manhandling the adds in the Shadow Realm in the form of having a massive array of dots as well as drain life and being able to reduce any shadow damage that they take when they're downstairs, especially as they're a range class, meaning that they can maintain full uptime whenever Valiona is doing her deep breaths. And then finally, argument 3. Threaten to leave the guild. Just tell them you'll leave. Tell them that you'll take all the loot that you've gotten and leave. Alright, I think that's it. Let's get on with the video. Okay, anyway, here's a link to the spec. I'm not going to make a large guide for this part of the fight as I don't really have footage for it, but it's really simple. While Valiona is grounded, just watch out for Dazzling Destruction, make sure Recoup is always up, dodge the orbs floating around on the ground, and use Feint off cooldown. When you get to about 12 or 15 stacks, make sure you cloak them off, or go even higher if you're comfortable and have a decent amount of health. While Theralion is grounded, do the same as before, but watch out for Deep Breath. This won't one-shot you, but it will significantly reduce your ability to stay downstairs full time. And now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about Assassination. This fight, if you aren't going downstairs, is actually super straightforward and is basically one of the few bosses that's a target dummy with very small amounts of mechanical interference, so feel free to just have fun and pump on this fight for the most part. 4 seconds before the pull, you are going to sprint. Then at 2 seconds, you're going to pre-pot and stealth rush up to the boss. When you're at the boss, you're going to pop Garrote, slice and dice, mutilate once, then rupture, then pop Vendetta, and with Vendetta, you're going to use any on-use trinkets that you have or Synapse Springs with your DPS ratios. Then mutilate to 4 to 5 combo points, pop Cold Blood, and Envenom. You will continue to mutilate and Envenom spam at 4 to 5 combo points until you need to refresh Rupture. Refresh Rupture at whatever combo points you currently have, and then proceed on to your normal rotation. Send your Vanish at 20 seconds into the pull so that you can Garrote again, as well as maintain your overkill buff and continue to blast the boss. The main things you want to focus on in this fight are 2 things. Spamming Feint off of cooldown whenever possible to reduce incoming damage, with that being either Meteorites or Blackout, and then cooldown management. Now that we aren't making these videos of footage of me in an undergeared raid in 346 blues on the beta, we can finally get a look at what the average kill time for these bosses might look like. Generally speaking, most guilds are killing Valiona and Theralion at the 4 to 6 minute mark. The main way that we as Assassination rogues can optimize our damage here is making sure that we're making optimal use of our cooldowns. If your guild is killing this boss near the 4 minute marker, you only get 2 sets of cooldowns. So generally speaking, the best time to send these cooldowns is at the start of the fight, when any proc-based trinkets would go off with Bloodlust alongside your pre-pot and racial CDs. The second, however, is most likely not going to be used at the 2 minute marker, as Vanish will be on cooldown, and generally speaking, at least for right now, we won't be in our execute phase till later on in the fight. So for your second set of cooldowns, wait till you enter the execute phase, then pop your Agipot, any on-use trinkets, Vanish, racial CDs, and blast the boss. Bonus points if you can line your proc-based trinkets up with this. If your guild is closer to the 6 minute mark, do the exact same thing as I previously mentioned, but instead of 2 sets of cooldowns, you will have 3. Your second set of Cold Blood and Vendetta will be treated as a normal CD rotation, but save your Agipop for the third set, as you will net a larger DPS gain from using it there than you would with the second set. And lastly, when the phases are changing and you are moving from Valiona to Theralion or vice versa, refresh a Rupture on whatever dragon is leaving, and then redirect any combo points onto the new dragon and immediately Rupture. This will give you a nice little energy boost as you are transitioning between phases, and add a small DPS bonus as well. If any of you are interested in learning more about the Assassination rotation, as well as any min-maxing tips for Assassination DPS, feel free to check out my Assassination rotation guide, which I will post on the screen for you here. Now let's talk about combat. On the opener, you are going to sprint at 3 seconds, then pre-pot at 1 second as you rush up to the boss. Immediately Sinister Strike the boss, then pop Adrenaline Rush, any unused trinkets or Synapse Springs, any racial CDs, Revealing Strike, and then Sinister Strike spam to 5 combo combo points, and then eviscerate. Rinse repeat, revealing striking at 0 to 3 combo points, spamming Sinister Strike until 5 combo points, and then eviscerating until you reach Deep Insights. Continue your normal rotation in Deep Insights until Adrenaline Rush is about to fall off, and then Killing Spree. By this time, Slice and Dice should be close to falling off, so refresh Slice and Dice and then enter your normal rotation, which is Sinister Striking, but revealing striking at between 0 to 3 combo points, gouging at 4 combo points, and then eviscerating at 5 combo points. The same logic can be applied to Assassination for cooldown management that can be applied to combat. Combat cooldowns are not a guaranteed science for when we will have them because of Restless Blades, but we can guarantee almost 1 Adrenaline Rush a minute and 1 to 2 Killing Sprees a minute. Though combat has a lot more it has to balance in terms of cooldown management for optimization, they don't have an actual execute phase, which means you're free to send your Agipot with whatever set of cooldowns would net you the highest DPS gain. I'll give an example. Let's say your Adrenaline Rush is off cooldown, and your Killing Spree is about to be, and you're halfway through a Moderate Insight. Your trinket's just procced and your racial ability is off cooldown. You can pop your Adrenaline Rush with your Agipot, which will continue as you progress in Deep Insights with your racial ability shortly behind those two. When your Adrenaline Rush ends, you can still benefit from your racial and Agipot and whatever trinkets are active or Synapse Springs for a massive burst DPS window with your Deep Insights and Killing Spree. Since there isn't really any effective way to cleave dragons on this fight, you can also just get rid of the Blade Flurry glyph here, meaning that you can make use of the Feint glyph to reduce any damage that you would be taking from things like Meteorite and Blackout, just like Assassination would. And also in the same way that Assassination wants to utilize Redirect as the phase change, combat does as well. If you're in a shallow or moderate insight, feel free to rip a Rupture on the dragon that's leaving to get some extra DPS, then redirect into the new dragon to keep your insight rolling and continue blasting the boss. If you would like to learn more about how to optimize your combat gameplay, feel free to check out my Combat Rogue Rotation Guide, which I will link here on the screen for you. And finally, let's talk about Subtlety. I'm not going to list the opener for Sub here, but I will play the clip from the Magma video explaining the Sub pre-pull opener. 10 seconds before the pull, use Slice and Dice and have your healer spam you with heals before the pull goes out to make use of Honor Among Thieves, as well as premeditation to get as many combo points between when you use Slice and Dice and when the boss is pulled. The way this will look in terms of input for pre-pull is on the screen. Trust me, I know it seems like a lot, but you get used to it. Honor Among Thieves can only proc once every 4 seconds, so you will probably only get 1 to 3 combo points from those healers, but that's okay because pre-med will give us an extra 2 regardless. If you wish to get a more in-depth look at how to play Subtlety, we will be releasing a guide shortly giving you a top-to-bottom guide on how to play Sub in Phase 1 of Kata. Onto the boss opener. You will immediately pop Ambush, pop whatever combo point Rupture you have, Chemo, then Shadow Step with any on-use trinkets you have or Synapse Springs alongside your racial CDs, pop a Recoup if it isn't up already, then Shadow Step the boss and Ambush spam weaving in Eviscerates whenever at 5 combo points. When Shadow Dance is faded, you will do 1 to 2 more normal rotations of spamming Backstab into Eviscerate while Find Weakness is still up on the boss. When it is about to fade, you will vanish, then ambush again and do your normal rotation again until it's about to fade, then pop Preparation and vanish again into another ambush. Repetitive, man. Holy crap. This will net you an insane amount of extra uptime with Find Weakness on the boss. From this point, the only thing that you need to manage are making sure that you keep Recoup and Slice and Dice up and refresh Hemo whenever it is about to fade. For Sub, your cooldowns really just come down to pairing your Synapse Springs with your Shadow Dance every 1 minute and trying to line Shadow Dance up with any other cooldowns available at the time. For things like on uses, it would be every other Shadow Dance, and proc-based trinkets are a little bit trickier to line up because they don't exactly match the cooldown timer of Shadow Dance, but do some math on your kill time. For example, if you're killing a boss in an average of 5.5 minutes, you have about 20 seconds worth of wiggle room to make sure that you can hold out for a trinket proc to pair with Shadow Dance and Find Weakness. For a trinket like Prestors, we are looking at pairing it with essentially every other Shadow Dance we use with a little bit of wiggle room that we get to sit out on for the extra DPS boost that we would gain from just waiting a few seconds until that trinket is procced or come off cooldown. And with Redirect would be used in the same capacity as the other specs, but just make sure that when you're target swapping, you're putting Hemo up on whatever target you are leaving alongside your Rupture, then quickly Hemo and Rupture the new dragon to ensure that you're maximizing that extra DPS gain. And then Feint. Feint will be used in much the same way as the other specs. You have the space to make use of the Feint glyph with Sub, so you should be utilizing it to ensure that you don't take any unneeded damage. And lastly, something that works for all specs. This can be used as a massive boon for your raid or guild if they are struggling to get this boss down. Whenever you are targeted by a Meteorite or Blackout, rogues and a few other classes can just cloak off the debuff to make it easier for the rest of the raid. The way you would do this is by simply popping Sprint, running a short distance outside of the melee stack, and cloaking as a Meteorite is about to hit you, or whenever you have safely exited melee range on a Blackout. This obviously does result in a DPS loss though, so if your guild isn't struggling to down this boss, boss, I suggest avoiding it entirely. With that being said, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want more tips on how to become a rogue god, feel free to join the Discord. We have a rapidly growing community of people ready to answer any and all questions related to rogue, as well as plenty informative macros, add-ons, and weak aura to improve your gameplay. And lastly, if you have any questions for me specifically, feel free to check out my Twitch channel, where I stream 5 days a week, and I'm always sharing new strategies and tips I develop. With that being said, thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll see you next time.